what I've gone through, the memories I've made through Wrexham, you cannot put a price on, and I'm so glad that I stuck to Wrexham. But, you know, like I said, there was just something about Wrexham that I think probably that was reflected on my dad, because he was massive in my career for football, that it just led me to Wrexham and to stick with Wrexham.
My guest today is an unstoppable force who puts the ball in the back of the net more often than most of us change our contact lenses. Since joining Wrexham Women in the summer of 2021, she's netted an astounding 105 goals in just 55 games. And because of her pace and finishing ability, it's not a single engraving company across North Wales that hasn't etched her name on the side of a trophy. Most recently, she's won back-to-back Player of the Season and Golden Boot awards, an essential part of Wrexham's magical undefeated march to promotion of the Adran Premier, highest tier of women's football in Wales. Oh, it's a joy to welcome and raise my SToK to Rosie Hughes.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers, Rosie.
Hello, Rog. Lovely to meet you.
Rosie, it's so beautiful to be with you. I've got to tell you, welcome to Wrexham Season 2. My favourite episodes were all about the women's team. Honestly, I know I've got to keep my voice down. I kind of feel like the men got in the way.
Well, I don't know. I suppose we've put them first, haven't we? They've been established longer than we have. So save the best to last, I say.
See a spin-off series in the making. Can you describe your style of play to someone that's not had the joy of watching Rosie Hughes with their own eyes over the course of 90 minutes? Rosie Hughes is
a goal scorer. My style of play has got nothing to do with playing football, defending. Is simply putting the ball in the back of the net. When I first signed for Wrexham, that's what I said to them. I said, look, what you'll get from me is someone that scores goals. As I do what I do. That's it, you know. I appreciate the rest of the 10 players, like they have to feed me that ball, but do you know, I love to see the back of the net.
I've got to say, I am sorry for anybody that didn't watch last October's episode of Welcome, appropriately called Ballers, which introduced a worldwide audience to your frankly astonishing scoring ability. It's easier to kick John McClane out of a Christmas party than it is to stop you in front of goal. And Wrexham owners Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney explained Wrexham's number one goal scorer wasn't Paul Mullin, wasn't Ollie Palmer or Elliot Lee. It was you, Rosie Hughes. 6 months later, your Wrexham women's side are in the top flight of Welsh football, the Adran Premier, and you're still banging in goal after goal. How has your life changed in the past couple of months?
Oof, I mean, where do I start? It's changed in the terms I've more followers on social media. I've got a lot more people asking me for photos, but in terms of, you know, feeling like people are calling me a star, throughout my upbringing, my sisters especially have put me on a pedestal my whole life, so they've always made me feel like a superstar. So now I just feel like I'm at a place where this was what I was already, you know, waiting for. So it was what was in me already. It's just now everyone else has realised it, apart from, you know, instead of myself and my two sisters.
So just the superstardom in the family is just
made me feel the way I am anyway. So yeah, I just feel like this was what I was waiting for, to be honest.
All it's done is just spiral out to the global level.
Exactly that. Now everyone knows what Rosie's world is like, instead of it just being in my own world.
What about mentally?
I love it. Like I can't deny the fact that I don't love, you know, being kind of walking around the streets of Wrexham and being asked for a photo. I lap it up. There's nothing I don't like about it. Mentally, I suppose it's an odd one.
And on the field, how's it changed, that mental pressure?
It's a lot harder because obviously since we've been promoted, but the football's better, you know, the quality of football, and you know, it's been a massive kind of. I was scared to go in to get promoted because I'd been in that kind of league before, but not in the presence of Wrexham. It was for a former team who probably didn't have as much money to have a fancy coach or nice hotels or food while you were away. So actually now I'm glad that I was staying at Wrexham, because if I'm honest with you, I didn't want to get promoted. I was scared of doing all this travelling, but actually it's worth it. And Wrexham, I love all the girls on the team and the management as well. I get along with them all, so it's lovely. It's a lovely community to be a part of. And
the journey that you are on is quite remarkable, but I do want to go back to the beginning. You've said that your dad introduced you to football. Your first team was mighty Colwyn Bay on the Welsh North Coast. You played for the Welsh youth team as a 9-year-old. If you think back to those early days, what was it about this sport of football that first appealed to you?
I didn't go to football. Football was in me. I think from the early age of sitting in a bouncer chair, there was a ball at my feet. You know, I think it looked like from a young age I wanted to play football, so then I wasn't necessarily pushed into it, but I was guided towards it, and it was always in me. People ask me, you know, like, what age did you start playing football? But I don't have an age, it was just always part of me.
Were you immediately a natural goal scorer, or was that something you had to work at and develop?
Always. Do you know, it's funny actually, because I played for Wales once, but it was called an Asda Kids Cup thing, and just one day me and my dad, when I was about 10 years old, were walking around Asda, and on the tannoy it came across, it said, anyone that thinks they're good at football between the ages of such and such, come out into the car park. And so we did, we ran out to the car park and they had the cones set out, and I dribbled around the cones and they had one of those little goals, and I shot, and you know, of me, the goal scorer, missed the goal. But because my time was so fast coming around the cones, they accepted me to the next stage. And funnily enough, the next stage was at Wrexham. So I played on Wrexham's football pitch there and got through to the next stage. And then the last stage, I played for Wales at the Etihad. So we had a VIP tour, obviously. So yeah, for my dad, who was a Manchester City supporter, for his 9-year-old daughter to, well, one, bring him to Wrexham because he supported Wrexham, and then two, bring him to Manchester City at 9 years old playing for Wales was obviously probably a massive achievement for me, but I'm sure a proud moment for him too.
What a sliding doors moment. If you hadn't been at that supermarket for that time, none of this might not have happened. Life could have been very different.
Yeah.
God, I'm going to start hanging out in the supermarket now until I get my call in. But when you do put the ball in the back of net, can you remember your first goal, by the way? Can you remember that feeling, that you had that first feeling that you had kind of been chasing ever since?
Well, I'll tell you what, I remember missing that goal. I don't think I'll live that down. But I've just always done it, and it's been a lot easier when I was younger, because I'd be getting crazy amounts of goals, per season, because it was against other children that maybe weren't as good as me or whatnot. But I'm not sure if you've ever seen in my celebrations when I score a goal, but people ask me what I'm doing about that. That's not something that I've thought about doing before I've scored the goal. That's just an inner feeling that just erupts from me, whichever way. Even if we're winning 10-0, even if we're losing 5-0, I still do the same crazy celebrations that just happens, that is natural to me.
Can you put into words what you're feeling inside in that moment?
Just fire, kind of excitement. Just I'm proud of myself, and I'm excited for myself for doing what I do best, and knowing that I can still do what I've got, that I can still do what I can do. And I think it powers over more if I've not scored in a couple of games and I feel a bit of pressure, like I'm known for scoring goals and I've not scored a goal. So when I've got that goal again, that's when I'm again elated from it. So yeah, it's just deep within. I think there's kind of something that a hold over me that I know other people will be proud of me for scoring, so I think that elates me inside too.
God, fire from deep within. These are the stuff that movies are made of. But I do think it's important to make clear, particularly to American listeners, that women's football in the United Kingdom when you were a kid, it was not as developed. The opportunities were not there. A lot of girls had to get shoehorned into boys' teams because there were no other options. A retired England international, Ellen White, tells a quite painful story about being banned from a boys' team when she was age 9. These were very different days you were emerging in. Can you give us a sense, the reality of your early days, Rosie? What was the state of the women's game in Wales back then?
Well, yeah, exactly that. Like you said, it was non-existent really. In primary school, so from year 6 down, I was a part of the boys' team. There was no other girls, but going into high school is playing in the boys' team. I've never enjoyed playing with boys. They either don't want to tackle you because they can't, or they try to go harder on you. But I grew up with siblings, so I had an older brother who's about 5 years older than me, and because he knew me as a brother, him and his friends, they wouldn't go easy on me because I was younger or I was a girl. They did it hard. And then my other brother, who was a bit older, we were in the back garden, he'd be throwing the ball to me, I was headering, and all little things like that I think is what's really built me to be better at football now, because I had a lot of family, but I was very much alone as a child, so I'd just be in the back garden just kicking the ball against the wall day in and day out. I wasn't one to watch TV or play on PlayStations or anything like that. I was in the garden just kicking the ball about. But playing with boys, like I said, it's not something I enjoy doing because you feel a bit outed. So it was hard in primary school, and then same happened in high school where I did PE, GCSE PE, and the girls weren't allowed to play football. We had to do netball and hockey, but I fought against it because to me, that's not a sport. Football's a sport, so I had to fight, with the high school, and eventually they did let me, the only girl of the high school, to play football for my for PE, but I had to prove myself. I had to tell them what I was good at football and what achievements I had. I had to prove myself to be able to play with the boys, and obviously I was much better than most of them anyway, so I wasn't sure why, one, the boys couldn't play the netball, and two, why couldn't the girls play the football, you know?
So it was a fight you took on, it was a fight you won.
Yeah, I fought always to play football. Like you said, like it was hard back in Wales, and I kind of probably have a bit of resentment towards female footballers that are doing so well now, because I feel that because of where I'm from, or because of my age, that I had less opportunities. I was also kind of given an ultimatum when I was younger to either find my own way to football or don't play football at all. So from the age of 11 upwards, I was having other people's friends, my friends' parents take me to football, or catching a bus to my football training from a young age. So I really fought myself to continue playing what I love. And it's not just a sport for me, it's like it's a feeling, it's emotional, it helps me get through life, like them 90 minutes on a football pitch, everything disappears, especially the peers that you work with, like you all kind of have the same mentality and you get each other, and whether you know each other previously from on the pitch, once you're on that pitch, if someone scores, we're all hugging and screaming like we've known each other for years. That's because we all share the same passion, which, as hopefully you can tell, I have passion for the sport and the game and the social aspect of it.
And you've all found each other?
Yeah, of course, because we've all come from similar backgrounds, really, I find.
Similar fights?
Similar fight, well, yeah, the same fight. I mean, I'm one of the oldest now at Wrexham, which is a shock to me, because, I'm used to being at teams where I'm the baby, and now all of a sudden I don't even remember the turnover, and now I'm one of the oldest and people are looking up to me. Me? I'm wild, don't look up to me.
I mean, it is wild, this change. It is, because things have changed, and you played a role in changing them. There was a beautiful interview that you gave in a Wrexham match day programme. You said you just met a dad and his daughter, actually at the supermarket, and she told you that she'd gotten a number 9 on the back of her football shirt, not because of Super Paul Mullin, but because of Super Rosie Hughes. And there's even an independent clothing brand in Wrexham that prints Super Rosie hoodies and R9 t-shirts. I may or may not own one. Rosie, what does it mean for you when girls and young women wait for your autograph after a game and tell you that you're their hero, that you're their role model, that you've walked a path that they want to follow? Hopefully
I'm just making a difference, and I hope that I'm part of the history of changing that idea of women's football and making it something, like, don't get me wrong, I know kind of the Lionesses have played a massive part in that, but personally to me, like you said, when the girls are waiting for my autograph, when I notice that they have Rosie with number 9 on the back of their shirt, it makes me think, do you know what, yeah, I am part of that also, and I hope that I'm getting to, more retirement age now, but I hope that there's girls younger than me that have better opportunities now for the fight that I've done personally, that is, they have it easier. So if all else, that's the main thing that I love about getting, the attention from the younger girls. And it's not just girls, it's boys as well, because it's nice to change the mind of young boys. Because when I was younger, when I was playing, like I said, when I was playing in my backyard and I was kicking the ball, boys would come round and be shocked and surprised that, what, a girl's kicking a ball? But I hope now, I'm part of that change where boys just recognise it as football, not a man's sport where it's just football who anyone can play.
Amen. I mean, when you were young, who was your Rosie Hughes? Who was the role model that you looked up to, that you thought, I'm going to emulate them?
I mean, I didn't, because I think I only started my first football club at 9, and to me, I think I was older. I'd done kind of youth clubs before then, but it was never a team, so I'd always just played football. I never looked up at football. I don't particularly follow men's football. I never followed women's football because back then it was never really a thing. So it was just my sport, it was just my love, and I just did what I did. And I support Manchester City, but I couldn't tell you one player that plays for them. I just own shirts randomly from a young age. But I'm my own inspiration, really, and help from, my brothers who, like I said, we'd play out in the back garden together, and his friends would come around and I'd be part of that. So I think they were probably more role models to me than any celebrities or famous footballers.
During that episode of Welcome to Wrexham, you said something that I love. You told the camera that you're not the female Paul Mullin, that he's actually the male Rosie Hughes.
Well, exactly that, because I'm I'm very much a supporter of women and women's rights and things. And what is the difference? Because like I said, it's not men's football, it's not women's football, it's football. You're not a Paul Mullin striker, you're not a Rosie Hughes striker, you're a striker. So yeah, if I am the female Paul Mullin, he is the male Rosie Hughes.
You both have such innate goal-scoring abilities and the kind of awareness on the field, where you are, where the ball's going to go before it's even crossed the defender's retina. And Rosie, I'm interested in how you developed that innate ability, that mentality. Did you become a striker because you had that kind of confidence? Or did you develop the confidence because you proved to be so dangerous in front of goal?
I, believe it or not, love to talk. However, growing up, I was very much shy. I was a mute, and I had a lot of siblings around me who just spoke for me. Rosie, do you want a drink? Yeah, she'll have X, Y, and Z. I didn't need to speak, so I've not been a speaker. So I don't have a confidence in that, but on a football pitch, I'm confident in my ability. And don't get me wrong, I've not always been a striker. I mean, believe it or not, I've been a reserve goalkeeper for some teams, but that's because I'm fast and I'm frantic and I'm brave and I throw myself about a goal, so I can do that. But I've also been, you know, a midfielder who, because I can run quite fast, as you may know, I can run quite fast. So I've been put there, but I've never wanted to be a goalkeeper nor a midfielder. And to be honest, I think they've got a tough job, and I think I've got the easiest job on the pitch, which I'm grateful for. Don't tell management because I don't want them to change me. But I do think it's the easiest. But, you know, like I said, I'm just good for scoring goals, so keep me as my number 9. Don't move me around because I'm good at what I do and I'm the best at what I do.
Did it just come naturally? What is the secret to finishing? Or do you not question it at all? You just, like, genuinely, it's muscle memory. You don't ask that question. You don't think about it.
My secret is I don't shoot unless I know the ball's going in the back of the net. So one of my classic goals is to take the ball around the goalkeeper like I'm taking on a defender, because that way the goal's open for me. I'm not very good at taking shots. I'm not a whirled. I don't score whirldies. It doesn't go in the back. It doesn't go in the top left corner. It just slots in. And do you know what? I don't shoot. I pass the ball into the goal like I'm passing to a player. And I can use both left or right. And I think that's probably what ups my goal tally as well, because I'm not having to move the ball to my right leg. I'll shoot with my left and I'll shoot with my head as well. You know.
Rosie Hughes, high percentage finisher, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
You like a high percentage chance. And you don't post on social media often, probably because you're pretty busy cooking up centre-backs across Wales. But you once posted on Twitter, and I love this, jealousy makes me a superstar. Is that what motivates you as a player? You know, looking at what other people have accomplished and desiring it for yourself?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think I love myself. So don't get me wrong, I love me and I love Super Rosie Hughes, and other people I think will look up to that and, you know, not like that I'm like that. However, I want to procast my feelings onto other people. Like, I want other people to love themselves, you know, and kind of, I guess any press is good press, isn't it? You know, so jealousy does make me go more, because I don't want you to be jealous of me or envy me. I want you to be like me, love yourself like I love myself. So yeah, for anyone thinking that I'm arrogant or cocky, yeah, I may be, but for the right reasons, because I love what I do, you know. I'm happy with myself and I'm content, and I want to make the most of my life and be happy, because, you know, you can't get days back. So I want other people to love themselves like I love myself.
Oh, be like Rosie Hughes, listeners, not like Roger Bennett. Be like Rosie Hughes in life. And we didn't only have to schedule this interview around your training regimen with the Wrexham team, but also when you weren't working in your full-time job at HMP Berwyn, which is the largest prison in the UK. You've worked as a guard for the past 6 years. You've talked a lot about how much you try and bring humanity to the role, acting as parents, as teachers, as healthcare for the people you're responsible for during the workday. With this job and its different challenges, its singular obligations, how do you feel like you separate yourself into Rosie Hughes, the Berwyn prison guard, and Rosie, the footballer?
How do I separate it? I mean, for one, you're locked in. There's no mobile phones, you know, there's no internet access. It's a world within a world. So once you go past them gates, like walking onto a football pitch, once you're on that football pitch for those 90 minutes, the outside world disappears. Kind of similar to walking into a prison. You walk through a gate with locked doors, with no phones, you know, no contact with the outside world. So again, your outside world is separate. I think I've always also played football, so it may be new to the prisoners and my colleagues I work with that I'm all of a sudden I play football, but actually, believe it or not, I've always played football. So again, I've always come off the pitch on a Sunday and gone to work on the Monday. So it's separate, and it's not new to me. You know, it's new to other people, but it's not new to me. You're
like the Messi of Berwyn. How has that changed news, that changed knowledge, that changed identity, that changed self-perception, transformed your life?
I mean, within prison, I think it's kind of actually gained me more respect, because it's like I am a kind of a superstar around Wrexham, you know, and it's a Wrexham prison. So, I've able to bring the Welcome to Wrexham documentary in, and I brought BBC Sports Wales into the prison as well. And it's funny because prisoners love to see new things, and when I've got 9 people following me with big cameras and microphones, obviously that's interesting to prisoners to watch. But do you know what? They didn't laugh at me, and they didn't make jokes, and they weren't rude either. They were actually very respectful, like men can be. I think people have a perception of prisoners that they're all scumbags, but of course they're not. They're just humans at the end of the day, and I know that myself, for having family that's been in prison. That's why I treat them like humans, and vice versa. So I'm sure that's why it's kind of gained me more respect. And obviously a lot of men love football, so to know that I'm playing football also, it's humbling. It's lovely to know that I can, because I was a bit worried to go back into the prison, but no, it's actually, if anything, made it better, because now I look cool. Cooler, should I say.
It's amazing what goals do, and that's all you've done since you arrived here in Wrexham, summer of 2021. You played at Llandudno and Demby Town, and you introduced yourself to the home supporters by scoring a hat-trick in your opening game of the season. And then, this was remarkable, you put 9 goals past your former team, Demby Town. 9, a triple hat-trick. Erling Haaland could never. I've got to ask you, against your old team, did you celebrate, or did you walk back solemnly 9 times?
I mean, of course I celebrated, but sorry Demby, another lovely group of girls who, do you know what, they take me back in a heartbeat, because the girls, and they know me, that's the difference. I think when a team doesn't know me and I celebrate like that, they think I'm laughing at them, but I played with Demby, and they know that it's me and I'm doing it for the love of me, not because I'm laughing at you. Sorry it was 9 goals, but I got to do what I got to do,
Whitney Houston sang about you, the greatest love of all. I think the rule about not celebrating does actually legally change after about the 6th or 7th goal. I think you're legally allowed to celebrate all the ones that come after that. But you finished that season with an astonishing 42 goals in 18 games, all competitions. You won the League's Player of the Season, the Golden Boot. Wrexham finished 2nd in the league, 2022-23. Welcome to Wrexham, picked up the team story. Rosie, how was the documentary presented to you? Did you hesitate when you thought about it, letting a camera crew into your life? I'm guessing, having spent some time with you, that was a leading question. I might know the answer.
Hesitate? Rosie, we'd like to talk about you for hours.
Yeah.
No, it was surreal because. I don't know, again, I've always had a love for football. I've always felt like a superstar. So when they've kind of wanted to come round and stick a camera in my face, it was surreal, because it was the documentary, but it was on Disney, and I have Disney at home. I watch that on the TV. So when I'm thinking, oh, hang on, they're going to come to film me, for me to be on that, it was it took a while to kind of put my head around that, but to come and do an interview, I was all for it, and I was pleading to try and do different things. Hit the gym. Let me take you to the gym. Let me take you for a walk. Let me show you where I work. I was all for doing that, and I always will be. And even people stopping me ask for my time. I'll give you my time to have a photo or just talk about you. I don't mind.
It's much less interesting talking about it. Did you demand? You say, I'll let you into my life, but you've got to let me be a guest star on The Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Well, I'll tell you what, I made them take me for lunch, so at least that.
I've got to tell you, the episode of Welcome to Wrexham in Coddy, which is Welsh for rise, it couldn't have been more affecting, even if it included all of Adele's back catalogue and that old man from Up. Wrexham faced Connors Key in the final match of the regular season. A win meant you'd be the first Wrexham team in history, men or women, to finish the season undefeated. Match was level, 1-1. You took control of the ball just past the halfway line, swerved the last-ditch Nomads defender, lured the keeper off a line, which is about as pointless as putting a traffic cone out to stop an avalanche. You score, Wrexham win in front of a record-setting crowd of 9,511 here at the SToK Kairas. It was really beautiful to watch that show. I've got to be honest with you, I watch that episode often. When I feel down, I will fire up that episode of Welcome to Wrexham, because the validation your entire team felt in that moment playing in this stadium in front of such a big crowd. What's your favourite memory from that day, the feeling of bringing 9,000 fans to their feet?
Obviously, the winning goal is my favourite memory, and it gets me emotional to think about that day, because yeah, we can talk about it was our 12th league game that we'd won consecutively in the league, and you can we'd already won the league before that, the game before that, we knew we'd top the league, but I think it was the 9,511, not that I remember the number, amount of fans, and the last minute goal. And do you know what? Connah's Quay are a bit of a derby to us as well. We've kind of a bit rivalry, so it was more pressure that it was against Connah's Quay and in front of all these fans. And do you know what? They gave us a good run-in. They had a hell of a lot of shots on target, more than we had, and you know we'd managed to save a few. So I couldn't bear to look at the time when I scored that goal. You know, I didn't know whether we were 50 minutes in, 90 minutes in. I couldn't look because all I then wanted to do, obviously, was defend. And it was the winning goal. I'm not sure if you've seen my celebration. I know how to celebrate, however, in that moment, I did not know what to do with myself. I'm slapping myself all over the place. Players are coming towards me, I'm pushing them away, and I just don't know what to do. Yeah, and then when the final whistle went, it was just crazy. It was massive. It was something. Scoring that goal is one of the best memories of playing for Wrexham. There was a game 2 seasons ago against Llandudno, which was one of my best memories, and then of course the Open Bus Tour was another one. But scoring that winning goal, I can't. That's the best goal I've ever scored in my life.
My favourite line about that game is Humphrey Carr's. He compared your team to 1970 Brazil. You were that good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I hope that we're always very good. We just gel as a team, don't we? And, you know, we have the fight and the passion in us. And do you know what? The who assisted that goal as well was Lily, who came off the subs bench. So, you know, they may be the starting 11, but our bench and our reserves are just as good as our starting 11.
Rosie, although Wrexham won their league, the Adran North, you still had to face the Adran South winners, Britain Ferry, in a playoff to determine who would own promotion to the Adran Premier, top level of women's football here in Wales. And in an uncharacteristic moment, you actually admitted to the cameras you were feeling a little bit uncertain about that game. And Rosie, so much of your game, so much of your all-round vibe is about just swaggering confidence and wavering belief in your own abilities and in your teammates. When you do experience those moments of doubt, how do you handle that? How do you get past it? What do you tell yourself?
I think I kind of, throughout my whole life, any bad feelings, I actually block out, which is not a healthy way of doing things, but I block it out and try and make it feel better for myself. So I think I came to kind of teach myself or accept that we were not going to win, so it's better off. So actually it's better because I won't do the travelling, I won't be spending more money, I'll still be scoring more goals. So I think I saw it as like, what would be the best outcome if we lost? Which, you know, again, Del Morgan had a blinder of a game that game. She saved us so much. And do you know what? There was one time where I've missed a goal that Rosie Hughes probably should have scored. That, you know, Maz passed me the ball over, and we just fought and fought and fought. And yeah, it was my assist to Rebecca Pritchard that scored the winning goal, which I did not believe that we were going to win that game, which I'm sorry to admit, but I didn't believe it.
That was a game you didn't.
Yeah, because
what was it about you? You didn't.
Because I thought we scraped by in this league. Yeah, we weren't every match, but you know we played on a cow field of a pitch, and I thought that used our advantage because other teams would come to our pitch and not know how to play football. So things like that kind of got us through the league, and obviously me scoring goals and Del being a fantastic goalkeeper. But so when we came to play Britain Ferry, who I know I've always known the South League as being a bit better quality than North Wales. So I thought they're just going to come and, you know, be all over us, and no, we gave them a great match, and somehow we won.
It was a great game, 1-0. As you say, Del Morgan, half Vika Casillas, half octopus for the entire 90 minutes. You got the assist to the goal scorer, Rebecca Pritchard, and you finished the season with 24 of the 70 goals Wrexham scored on that unstoppable march to promotion. The Open Bus parade that followed celebrated your team and the men's team who'd finally fought their way out the National League after 15 long years of exile. And when you're standing on the bus with your teammates who've been on that journey with you, wearing your dark green Wrexham jersey, you're a foot away from Rob McElhenney and bloody Deadpool, looking at thousands of people lining the street cheering you on, in your city, in your town. What was going through your mind?
Well, I mean, I don't cry because I'm hard and cool and all this, but there was a moment where I did nearly shed a tear because exactly that. I don't think it hit me until, you know, halfway we went round. Actually, it was funny because the way that we started off, we went round and back on ourselves in front of the pub, and it must have lasted 5 minutes. And I thought, oh wow, I could do that again. Like, can we go again? And someone said, Rosie, you're joking. We haven't even started yet. We've only just left the pub. So I said, oh my gosh, and it took us 3 hours to do, what was it, 1 mile or something crazy, or was it 1 mile an hour? It was something really daft, but that was because there was thousands of people, and there was a moment where I was just stood with my arms out like that, and it was exactly that. It was all these people had come to see us, and I was one of the many few that was on top of the bus, looking down at all these people that are looking up at me, and, you know, shouting my name, they're throwing tops at you, wanting to sign them. Some people, I even caught a phone up there that was on video, so I've got my face on it, and I'm putting it around the bus, and then the kids running along the side of the bus, so I've had to, like, catch, throw it back down type thing, but
what did that feel like after that fight? The Asda, the supermarket, the fight to play in the boys' team in high school, all those things. Suddenly you're on top of a bus. Thousands of people are there to see your team who are going, I mean, they are literally on a journey. How did that feel in that moment?
Well, it was exactly that. I had my arms wide open, and I thought I had the world in my being. You know, I thought I was on top of the world. I thought I was on top of Everest. Like, I'd never felt kind of higher. I was actually, you know, euphoric, the feeling of being on top of that bus with all those, because all you could just see for ages was just people and flares and flags and cheering and music. It was obviously, I will remember it forever. It's one of the best things I have ever done in my life.
What would you say to little Rosie, who had to fight to even get on a team, knowing what you know, knowing where this journey is right now?
Oh, I mean, don't stop being you. You know, like, through hardships or whatever, just don't stop being you. Always be happy and continue your football career. Because there's been times where, like, I could have stopped, I didn't stop, but I mean, I didn't, so just always be you and don't change.
Before Wrexham earned promotion, and before you're actually earning money to play, to put your body on the line on your off days from your day job, you reportedly had offers from other clubs. But what was it about Wrexham, this club, this town, that made you decide to stay?
I think there was something that really inside me, you know, like I mentioned with my dad, who used to watch Wrexham in the later days, which I didn't really know about, but I've been told about, and obviously I work in Wrexham as well, so I'm not from here, I'm from Colwyn Bay, so obviously I was commuting to my job for about 4 years, and then eventually I moved here, and there was just something that made me stick to Wrexham. There was something about when we weren't getting paid, there was a difference between not getting paid and the feeling that I got when we beat Real to win the Adran North League, that the memory and the feeling and the emotion that I had to that, you can't put a price on. So yeah, I did have offers, and you know, you speak to any of my management, and I always whinge. I love to whinge about not getting paid. I'm throwing my body on the line. I do have to buy my own travel. I have to buy my drinks. I have to, you know, all I wanted was something in return. And when I did get offers, it was a toy, because I think you're drawn to money, but actually what I've gone through, the memories I've made through Wrexham, you cannot put a price on, and I'm so glad that I stuck to Wrexham. But, you know, like I said, there was just something about Wrexham that I think probably that was reflected on my dad, because he was massive in my career for football, that it just led me to Wrexham and to stick with Wrexham.
Last question for you, Rosie. You did an interview with a local newspaper, 2016. So 8 years ago, you were a 20-year-old striker for Llandudno, and you said, like everyone that's played football, we've all dreamed about being able to play professionally. However, that will always be a dream. How does it feel to hear those words and to look back at that time as Rosie Hughes, the Wrexham striker, the Adran Premier leading goal scorer, player who's inspiring young girls and young boys to wear the number 9 on their shirts, and to realise that you're living something that once seemed impossible to you?
For you to repeat that and for me to hear it, and for me to say that it was only just a dream, because, you know, people will ask me when I was, you know, what job did you want to do when you were younger? I'd always say, well, I'd want to be a footballer, but that was never going to happen. I want to be a photographer. I would like taking photos. So to think that I've said that was just a dream, or will only never be a dream, to now becoming a semi-professional footballer, maybe it hasn't even hit me yet, but I am very good at taking things in my stride. I just go with the flow. You know, I think I'm a superstar anyway because of the podium that my family have put me on throughout my upbringing. So to hear that is actually quite emotional, and actually, do you know what, it fills me with joy to know that I can still achieve things even if I think they're a dream. And what I'll say to, you know, young girls and boys is dreams can come true. Clearly, you know, I'm a product of that, I'm evidence of that. So don't stop believing, and always, you know, set goals and focus, look forward, and just don't stop believing. Even if you are knocked down, you know, keep getting back up.
Rosie Hughes, to you, your family, your club, and to the next dream, It's amazing to be with you.
Lovely to meet you. Thank you for having me.
Courage.